Today we got a playwright of plays such as Jesus Hoppy A Train, Between Riverside and Crazy. It's the motherfucker with the hat himself, Steve Andy Gerges. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And this summer, I didn't get to see it because it was a little too far for me. But you were acting. Acting is like is like the thing that you came in with and something that you love so much. How was it? How was acting this summer?
Oh, it was great. It's great. I did a production of American Buffalo with Treat Williams and up in Vermont, and
It got some good press too. I heard you did a great job.
yeah. Well, I mean, we had 12 rehearsals, one tech, one preview, and then critics. So it was fast.
I did not. You had 12 rehearsals. That was it.
Yeah. But it went really great. I mean, I don't know if it went great, but it was great to do.
Good for you.
No doubt.
That's cool.
That's the first time you've been on stage in a while, correct?
Yeah, 13 years. I was in a play by Brett C. Leonard called Guinea Pig Solo.
Oh yeah.
Back in 2006 with John Ortiz and some other people.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Was that in lab?
That was at the Public Theater, but that was with Labyrinth, yeah.
How did you go from because I believe your first love was acting, correct?
Yes.
So how did you make that transition into playwriting?
Well, it was totally accidental, really.
Oh, cool.
I started, I got involved with this theater company called Labyrinth, and they allowed me to become a member. And for the first couple of years, we were just like a gym for actors. We weren't a producing entity. But then we decided to try to start producing theater, but no one knew who we were. So if there was a play that we liked, maybe the playwright didn't want to give us the rights. Right. Or if we had the play, the director was like, I don't know if I can cast within the company. So pretty quickly we decided, like, well, let's just do it on our own. So, why don't you direct and you'll produce it and I'll write. And so they asked me to write a little evening of one acts, and I guess it went well. It was David Zayas and Dave Unzuelo were in it. Charles Goforth directed it. And then after that,
did that the thing at the Edifice El Rey, right?
He's in that, yeah, and he did all the
fight choreography.
the fight.
Shout out to Dave Unzuelo.
Yeah.
Dave's Fight House.
Yeah, Dave's in man.
So he was in your original one act?
He was in my first play. Him and David Zayas. And then after it was done, they just kept kind of pushing me to keep writing. And that's sort of how it happened.
So speaking of your writing, you have a play up at Signature right now.
Yeah.
And it's Jesus Hoppy A Train. That was the first time I'd ever seen it before I'd read it, but oh my God, that play! It was amazing. How do you feel seeing it up at Signature now that it's been like a while since you originally produced it?
Yeah, I mean, it was a long time ago. It's great. I mean, it's a little bit surreal because that play was originally done. Me and Phil Hoffman and John Ortiz and Ron Cephas Jones, David Zayas, Liz Canavan, Sal Anzarillo, and we were like family, and we were doing it was like a family kind of thing.
Yeah.
So to see it now, it's wild. But Sean Carvajal, who plays Angel, he's my roommate. He's been here for the last few years. He's like family. And Eric Betancourt came up through Labyrinth Intensive Ensemble, and it's just been amazing. The Signature is, it's surreal. I don't really feel like it's real, but it seems to be working out. So
if this is anything, I mean, our college, my alma mater, Kyle also, cameraman over there, we went to Hunter College together, and we did a production of it back in college. And I remember seeing it there, I was like, damn, this is fucking good. I just remember being just so impacted by it. It's just like, it was like a tidal wave hit me. And it was funny because I'm seeing it again now, professionally done. It's like, it's still got that same intensity. And I was like, damn, it's like timeless, this thing.
Yeah, I felt that too. It really resonates because I saw it, and I saw it with Sean Carvajal in it, and I found out that he was on book 2 days before because he stepped into it, and I never would have guessed it. He went deep into that role. I am so deeply impressed with him as an actor.
Yeah, I mean, Sean's a great actor, but also he's in the spirit of the people that were doing it in the beginning. He's just kind of like next generation. Like that's why I call him like the nephew. Because it's family. And his spirit is there, and yes, also a lot of hard work and talent too.
Nice.
Shout out Sean Carvajal. You're killing it.
You have Our Lady of 121st Street coming up next year.
Yeah.
So how does it feel to have sort of like the Signature really sort of support all your work, and you got a whole commission for a new one? This is
I mean, it's something that I never even thought about or thought would happen. And then when they said, "Hey, can we do this?" I was like, I felt like, well, am I like old now? You know, you start bringing out the old stuff. It's like, you know, it's like, okay, we're getting ready to like set you out to sea. But but when I thought about it, I was like, I guess there's a generation that didn't get to see these plays, that read them, and I know that they were done a lot in colleges and scene studies and auditions and stuff like that. So I was like, yeah, you know.
The people you mentioned before, David Zayas, I know that there's a few actors that you work with consistently, and I was wondering if you want to mention, you know, who are these people, and what is it about them that makes you want to work with them again and again?
Yeah. Well, I think it's like a family thing, really. I mean, David Zayas, Liza Colon Zayas, Ron Cephas Jones, John Ortiz, Liz Canavan, Rosal Colon, Stephen Henderson, folks like that. We've been through so much together, and they're just great actors and great people. And what I like to do really is to have a base of family, and then bring in a couple other people to add to the party, and then they quickly kind of, I think, become part of the family. So when you go into a room where nobody knows each other, you know, the first couple of weeks of rehearsal is just sort of getting comfortable enough to say, oh, hey, you know. But when you starting with not just strong actors, but family, a lot of that stuff is already there. And then new people just come in and be like, oh, this is how it is. Like, you know, just this is about like embrace.
Yeah, there's a bond there. Like, you don't even have to start, you know, ice breaking. You don't have to. It's there.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's more actors than just them, and there's a lot of great actors out there. But, you know, if I could have Dave and Liza in everything that I ever do, I'd be just fine with that.
Having read a bunch of your plays and The Get Down as well, I realized that religion plays a big part in a lot of your work, sort of like a big through line. Is that something that was reflects a lot of your upbringing in New York City specifically, or?
You know, I don't know. I mean, it's true. Like, there's a lot of spirituality and questions and religion in my plays. I think I grew up Catholic, but very quickly I had questions that kind of separated me, but I think I was afraid to ask them at the time, so I felt like there was something wrong with me, and so I never really paid much attention to religion. I just sort of avoided it until like you're in trouble, you know, and you're like, oh God, help me out. And then when I started to get older, I found that I needed a base. I needed something bigger than myself. You know, I needed help. And that was a personal journey and a personal quest, and I think that it began to be reflected in what I was writing. You know, both the quest and and all the emotions that go with it.
What I notice is that, like, in your plays, religion is not really something that like gives you solace necessarily, but something that like your characters are grappling with constantly. And that's like really fascinating. And I think that through line is just so it's timeless. You know, it never dies. People are always asking these questions. I think that's part of the reason why Jesus Hop the A Train is just so powerful, even now. You know?
Yeah, I think it's like, I think it's that as people we're driven to connect and towards connection. You know, and that religion is just organized religion is just one entry point to connection, but it, you know, it can provide a lot of comfort and you know.
One of the people that you turned me on to just in like social media is Father James Martin.
James Martin, yeah, he's a really good dude. He was like theological advisor for when I did Last Days of Judas Iscariot.
Oh, cool.
Oh.
And and so I went to my old Catholic school and I was like, I need to talk to someone really smart. You know, I'm writing this play, blah, blah, blah. and they're like, well, you know, you might want to check out this young priest, Father Jim. So he came in, and he was great. Then I invited him to come into rehearsals, and we actually made him a company member, and now he's kind of a big deal in his own right, you know. And he's also kind of at the forefront of the movement. I don't know if it's a movement, but of like sort of introducing the idea of embracing the LGBTQ community into the church, which is, you know, something that's it's a, you know, way past time, and it's amazing how much pushback he gets against it. I get into these Twitter fights now where I see people dissing him, and I'm just like, come and say that to my face. I'll fuck you up. Like, Father Jim is a good guy, you know.
He's so eloquent. He is so considerate, and that's what Christians are supposed to do. They're supposed to welcome the flock, and there's a lot of them. There are kids, there are LGBTQI that need some help, and like everybody needs some help, and maybe particularly these kids because they're grappling. So it gets my blood boiling when I see people diss him.
Yeah, I mean, he also did the funeral for my father and my mother. He gave my mother the last rites. So he's somebody that started as a guest and just sort of became part of the quilt, a part of the family.
No, we were talking about the Get Down before, and I know that's something that you really poured your heart into. And something I love about it, it's such a love letter to New York City at that time. I've never seen anything like it, and I was just wondering do you have any favorite music? Because I know music's a big part of your life. Do you have any favorite music from that time period?
Oh yeah, I mean everything. I mean the 70s was. I mean that was when I was like a kid. Like so, like, you know, so. When I was a kid, you start out listening to AM radio, and it was like WABC, WNBC, and you could hear on that everything from, you know, the Commodores to, you know, Parliament to, you know, Stevie Wonder to Earth, Wind & Fire to Barry Manilow to, like, you know, Three Dog Night, you know, and it was I think the radio was really wonderfully democratic that time. You know, you hear.
I would never put Barry Manilow in that.
Oh yeah, that was like, it was pop songs. It was top 40, and the top 40 was dominated by pop, and then rock, and then disco, and funk, and it all. So I mean,
That's it.
It's. I don't know if it was the best period of music, but it was one of the very, very best periods of music. You know, I think a lot of kids, you know, could sing along both to P-Funk or Barry Manilow. They might not be so quick to cop to Barry Manilow, but, you know, it was just, it was the soundtrack of your life. And back then there was, you know, boom boxes. Music was just always playing. Now people weren't, you know, blasting Barry, but you know, in the dentist's office.
Awesome.
You know.
Continuing on the Get Down, I'm just curious, was that how did that idea come about? Was it you, or was it Baz Luhrmann, or was it some sort of like studio thing?
Well, I got an email from Baz, who I never met before. I didn't even know if it was a real email.
Right.
I was like, who is this Baz? You know? And he said, I want to talk to you about this TV project. Again, I didn't know who he was, and I didn't want to really do TV at the time. But I was like, I gotta meet Baz Luhrmann. I gotta at least be polite. And then he said, you know, 1970s, Bronx, birth of hip hop. And I was like, can it be a coming of age story? Yes, that's what I want. You know, what about these 4 or 5 kids? Yes, that's, you know. So it was just a no-brainer to get involved. It was a labor of love. It was a lot of labor. It was 3 years to do, you know, 1 season, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was great. You know, it was a joy. Everything about it. It was hard, but you know, the kids were great.
I love that show. I love those kids. I love the journey. I love seeing where they went to.
Yeah.
I love the music that was playing while they were doing it, but I love the music they created too. Like I felt like I was on that journey with them.
Yeah, I also really respected the older actors in that show, because a lot of those guys were people that normally would be the stars, but here they were sort of taking a backseat to support and lend credibility to the story of the kids.
Jimmy Smits.
Jimmy Smits is, I think, some of his best work, and and a lot of other people, Bogosian, Kevin Corrigan.
I have never seen him like that, and that was revelatory. I used to work for him. I was his assistant, and so the very
And
first
you never saw him like that?
Nah, I thought there was so much of Eric to see. I almost felt like, I don't know if this is appropriate for me right now professionally. So, but I meant to email him. He did such an amazing job.
Yeah, he's great.
He clearly like relished that role. Like, he was having such a good time. Everybody was having an amazing time on it. That was great.
Yeah, it was hard, but it was great. You know, and I just wish we had done better because it deserved to continue.
I think though, I feel comfortable in saying I think it was ahead of its time in a lot of ways. Just in that formula of just so much. It's like an explosion. It's like an explosion of music and youth in New York, and I think it's one of those shows that's gonna have longevity. People are gonna watch the show forever. Like, I'm gonna show the show to my kids. Like, I love the show.
Oh, thank you. It was a lot of fun to do it.
So having done like TV and being a big sort of student of theater, which one do you prefer?
Well, to me, theater is the best.
Foundation.
That's it. Like, it's, to me, that's there's nothing like being in a theater when something really exciting is happening. That feeling that you get, to me, is like, it's like how I imagine church was for the past generations.
Right,
you know,
right,
like the community getting together and something going on the stage that's just really exciting. That it's always going to be that for me as an actor and as a writer. I like to watch TV, and I like health insurance. That, you know, I like to be able to pay the rent. You know, but theater is really, to me, where it's at. It was really interesting doing Jesus because we had this last time around because there was a lot of cast changes because people got things happen, and it was much harder to find actors because there's 450 TV shows spread across all these mediums. So now it's like a lot of people are unavailable, which is great for people's, to pay their bills and stuff, and great for, I guess, the content of, but it's harder, for theater. So, and, I think theater is important.
You actively support and champion young people, especially young people of color. What is it? Why do you enjoy doing that?
Everything is a circle. A lot of times, like I'll do like workshops with kids or writing workshops, this and that, and they'll be like, oh my God, thank you so much. It means so much to me, blah, blah, blah. And I say, and I know I don't think that they're bullshitting, but I say, hey, it's a circle. I get something too. We're not meant to be alone, and that excitement and that energy that a young person brings, can feed me, and I can feed them, and it's really it's a circle, and so and the trick is you try to stay in the circle. You don't want to get too far outside that circle, especially since writers spend so much time alone anyway. I mean, when you guys came in, I was sick. I'm sick. I'm a little under the weather. Also, like, depressed, and but now, like, I feel normal again. And what is that from? That's because of you guys. That's because we are meant to interact, because the shit is a circle, So if I say that, or if someone says that to you, you just gotta accept that it's true. We feed each other. Hopefully, everybody eats.
Thank you for doing this. Like, damn.
No, I mean,
thank you.
It's not, whatever.
If there are students watching, would you have any advice for them as people that are just starting out in the game?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the best way to do it is to do it, and to keep doing it, and find like-minded people, find people who are into what you're into, who like doing what you're doing, and just do it. I mean, nowadays it's, so you can get a camera and you can get a YouTube channel, and you know you
Yeah.
can do what you want, you know, and you can still sit down and write a play and write parts for your friends and put it up, and that's really I think where it starts. It's just like you learn as you go, and you feel like, oh, maybe I should go to school, maybe I should not go to school. But you got to start by doing it. And you start by finding the people who are doing it, or finding the place where something exciting is happening and going there, you know. And then even if you can't, you know, act right away, maybe you sweep up, or you tear tickets, or you just hang out,
Yeah,
you know.
you can learn.
And you learn. And then the last thing I guess I would say, particularly for writers, now I'm also an actor, and most of my friends, basically almost all of my best friends, close friends, are actors, so I love actors. But there's a little bit of a fundamental difference in mindset between an actor and a writer, and which is this: when we're acting, the instrument is ourself, right? So as a result, we have material, and then we're trying to bring ourselves to the material. So as a result, when we're acting, we tend to be involved with ourselves. You know, now some people can say that self-involved, but involved with ourselves. But to be a writer, you have to be interested in other people. You have to be interested in the world. You're writing ultimately from your own place and from your own, you know, pain and your own struggle and your own joy. But to be a good writer, you have to be interested in the world and other people. So my advice to young writers, old writers, to all writers, my advice to myself is to develop interest in others, develop interest in the world, and that sometimes it's just as simple as like a 2-second conversation in the elevator. You might extend it to 5 seconds, and you might get a little surprise, because people are more than one thing, and we're so much living in this time where we instantly categorize someone as one thing or the other, you know. So I don't know. Stay open.
Yeah.
Stay open and
Open.
say yes,
Open, yes.
and that's it.
All right, so the last thing is the last question. So basically, our show, we recommend great theater to the youth of America.
And
New
only
York City.
theater that we recommend. We
Right.
never talk about theater that we don't recommend. Because
Oh, it's
Why?
fun sometimes, but
Yeah, well,
Nah,
we're on camera. You know,
yeah.
it's
Well,
like-
I'm also trying to be a playwright, so I don't want to burn bridges over here. But
Right.
anyway, so that's what we do on our show. If you don't mind, we would like you to recommend. It doesn't have to be a show; it could be anything.
Letters to a Young Poet by Rilke is really worth reading. Young playwrights, I'm a big fan of our friend Paolo Lazzaro.
Hola.
Shout out to Paola.
Yeah, and Brandon Jacob Jenkins.
Oh, the genius.
All the
Come out
people
twice.
at the Signature this year. It was crazy to be in the company of Dominique and Susan Laurie,
Yeah.
Edward
I love
Albee.
Dominique. Her plays are incredible.
And I recommend if we're in the arts, you need to find inspiration, and inspiration is everywhere.
Well,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much for doing
Yeah,
this.
no, my
This
pleasure.
is crazy.
This was so much fun.
Featuring.
Featuring Poppy.
Did he make it on the camera?
Oh yeah, he's in camera.
Oh, hey,
Featuring
Poppy.
I think he's got a little Indian sauce on his side of his head. He got into the garbage, but
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Yeah,
that's,
thank you. That's it. That's a
Yeah,
wrap.
thank
That's
you,
a
brother.
wrap.